and then the halls of a PhD at Mass Lowell. Born to a mother who never finished high school but emphasized to him the power of personal history and education, Dr. Masaj learned English as a young adult. The power of personal history is an account of his discovery of personal history, its inspirational power, and the price he has to pay to turn tragedies into opportunity for growth and triumph. We're actually going to operate kind of as a interview, and then we'll have questions and answers at the end. And there's also going to be book signing and things like that. So if you have any questions, let us know. But we're going to kind of go through his book a little bit and see how it goes. Okay, so you have a very fascinating life story. So can you tell us how it all began?
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me here, and for you coming to listen to my story and where I am coming from. I think to go back to your question, maybe I can read a couple of sentences, and then I can answer your question. I don't know.
Sure. No, that's fine.
So I will start with the first chapter, and I am going to read just a couple of sentences. And the first chapter, the title is "A Morning in the Crumbling Sun." The morning of the January 2nd, 1999 was unlike any other. People ran on the streets. Some walked swiftly in all directions. Some cried, yes, cried, to make the way to the unknown destinations. Their destinations were just nowhere because those people just wanted to escape from what they had not expected. They wanted to escape from what was happening. They relied on the instinct of survival at any price, instinct of belief that life was worth preserving, expecting something stranger than ever had never been a part of the wildest dreams, never, even in the most horrendous nightmares. So the idea of the book, came to me because I wanted to understand, first of all, my relationship with my history, okay, where I am coming from, and because of the Civil War, okay, which happened when I was 12 years old, I really wanted to see what kind of changes that experience demanded me to do, okay, in order to be, okay, who I am. So the idea was about that, my understanding my own relationship with my story, because I really wanted to understand who I am, and what I have come to become. And then when I started my PhD program at UMass Lowell, the first year, I did not think about it so much, and it was after, almost at the end of my PhD, almost at the end of my first year, that I started, writing about my book. And of course, I really wanted to share my story, because I think most of the time when we see people who have experienced events like I have had, we have certain attitude towards them, and that attitude sometimes comes with a sense of pity, a sense of guilty. Okay, so I really wanted to, of course, to give a new perspective of the strengths that come, okay, from events like civil war or genocide. So that's where can say all the idea of writing a book, comes from.
Obviously, in the United States, we don't typically experience things like civil war. We do have instances where children are affected. But how would you say you experienced the Civil War at a young age? Obviously, in the book, you leave your home. Your father's aunt won't leave. Your family kind of gets divided and then comes together. So how did it kind of feel to revisit that experience?
Two things. I think it was a painful experience for me. When I was going through that experience, I think I was, as I mentioned, 12 years old, but I was pretty conscious about what was going on. So we did not have decent food. We didn't have decent shelter. So I did not graduate from, I guess we call it here high school.
High school, yeah. Secondary school.
Yeah, secondary school. So because my mom was sick and my dad did not have money, so he had $5 to pay for my exam fees, but he could not because my mom was sick. So he had to make a very difficult choices, either to give me money to go and do my exam, or to give money to my mom to go to see a traditional doctor so that my mom could be treated. So you can see that life can put us in a very difficult situation. So what kind of decisions that you can make. So that one piece, painful, writing it, revisiting my history, but also it was a process of healing, myself. And of course, it's also a process of understanding my country, where it's coming from. So a brief anecdote about your question is that when I was writing my book, there are certain scenes that I did not clearly remember. Some names of villages, of places that we stayed when we were fleeing the war. So I had to call my mom to ask her if she could remind me those places. So it was a very strange for her to see me ask her the names of those places, and she could ask me what's going on, why are you asking me these questions. But I did not tell her that I was writing my book, but I just told her that I really needed to know about it. And then I could see that it's not something that we talk at home. Even until today, my mom never, or my parents, never told me the experiences, when this event, what kind of relationship they still do have with this kind of event. So they kind of keep it, for themselves. So for me, the process was a difficult, but also was healing. Was also the way I could understand myself better, understand my family history, because I believe that I really strongly believe that history is not the past. It is not at all. History is who we are, what we do, who we have become. History shapes our present and future conditions. I do really believe that, and sometimes it's very delusional, for many of us to believe that history is the past. It's not at all.